the Palestinian resistance is increasing its actions against the genocide state, with the latest action being taken by the Al-Qassam brigades under what they call David Stones. They have been carrying out this new operation in Gaza, in the northern parts of Gaza, like the other operations they were carrying out in the south. And one of them was this one here called David Stones. And they're continuing their operations. I shared one with you yesterday. And this is East Khan Yunis, targeting vehicles and Israeli IDF terrorists in that area by the Al-Qassam brigades, the armed wing of Hamas. They're again showing that they're continuing their actions all across of the Gaza Strip. Khan Yunis in particular, it's a very complex area. Israel has been in and out of Khan Yunis for multiple times. By the way, at one point Israel said that they dismantled all of the tunnel system inside of Khan Yunis, and despite all of that, the Palestinian resistance is still there. Israel claims that they displaced the majority of the population there to Al-Mawasi area. The majority of the Gazan population have been pushed into from an already densely populated area to an area about 20 square kilometers. But the Palestinian resistance is still active in that area. Here, they're saying that they were luring Israeli terror forces to a tunnel opening, and then they targeted them, they exploded it, and they targeted them directly. After that, the Palestinian resistance exploded 3 buildings that the genocide forces were in that area. Again, very, very complicated stuff. And we're talking about Khan Yunis. The Palestinian resistance is still showing maps. They are showing you exactly where they're targeting the Israeli terror forces. They're monitoring every move that they have. And one question arises: if Israel has the capacity to assassinate people within tunnels, how are they not seeing these people above the ground, monitoring them, and having this sophisticated and advanced surveillance system from under the ground live? They're showing everything live. And then again, they show how they prepare everything against the genocide forces inside of the Gaza Strip, in that area specifically, in Khan Yunis. And they're monitoring here the entry of the Israeli terror forces to that area from a very, very close distance. I mean, you can see high quality camera recording them, what they're doing, their whereabouts, the movement, even some of their communication, by the way. And the fact that the Palestinian resistance is releasing this now, very shortly after the campaign had happened, shows that they're very comfortable in those areas and they're not finding it very difficult. And in this move here, one of the Palestinian fighters using a Yasin 105, which is a Palestinian-made RPG, targeting the Israeli tanks. And look how close again they are to the Israeli tanks. This one was when they exploded a building, 3 buildings actually, a lot of smoke coming out of the area, with the Israeli evacuation helicopters coming very quickly after to evacuate those who were killed and those who were injured in that area. It took them several hours, according to multiple reports. And the Palestinian resistance didn't really stop there. We had another ambush by the Saraya al-Quds, which is the armed wing of the PIJ. They also had an ambush against the Israeli terror forces, this time in Shujai'yya, against an Israeli force that was there hiding. Again, Saraya al-Quds is considered to be the second largest group from the Palestinian resistance after Al-Qassam brigades, the armed wing of Hamas. And here again, they're showing how they're directly monitoring from the tunnels everything, and then having a trap for, look how many soldiers are there, over a dozen approximately, and then exploding the building with them in that area. And that's in the Shujai'yya area. Shujai'yya, another part of Gaza that Israel has been attacking very heavily in recent weeks, and ever since the beginning of the war, really. showing you that it's not only one resistance movement operating, multiple resistance movements operating in a very, very calculated way, over the ground, under the ground, intelligence, gathering information, targeting successfully and withdrawing successfully. Israel hasn't been able to hit them, and they did not know where they're coming from. And the Israeli forces in Gaza, by the way, they are behaving or conducting their actions in such a way that proves they're very amateurs. They don't really know what they're doing. The ambushes that took place in South Gaza a couple of weeks back, they had 3 ambushes that were very, very similar. 3 ambushes in the same part of the Gaza Strip, and they were all targeted in the same way. Yet Benjamin Netanyahu is claiming that we almost dismantled them and we almost got it done. Clearly, there's a very, very big gap between these claims coming from Netanyahu and his government to what's happening on the ground. And that's why there are reports now that Israel is moving towards a ceasefire agreement. Moving on to the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Israel is showing more concerns over the sanctions. There was this report here in the Middle East talking about the Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar saying that an arms embargo will lead to a second Holocaust, according to him, and the end of the state of Israel. Quite dramatic, using the Holocaust again to justify a genocide. They always like to use that card. And as if, they're not doing anything. Israel's foreign minister said that an arms embargo on his country would lead to the elimination of the state of Israel and a second Holocaust. Saar was speaking on Tuesday at an international conference on anti-Semitism in Jerusalem. How ironic. He's speaking on anti-Semitism, committing a genocide, and threatening warning from a second Holocaust. If, God forbid, he said, the calls and actions of countries and politicians for an arms embargo on Israel succeed, the result will be the destruction of Israel and a second Holocaust. The comments came as Spain this week called on European countries to suspend arms shipments amid Israel's ongoing siege on Gaza. At a meeting of the Madrid group, Spain's foreign minister called for an immediate suspension of Europe's cooperation deal with Israel and an embargo on arms shipments. I mean, really, as we say, good morning, isn't it a little bit too late? The report continued that Germany, France, the UK, Italy, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Morocco, and Brazil were among those present at the meeting. What is the meaning of actions or statements by politicians in countries to impose an arms embargo on Israel, said Saar in response? If such moves succeed, Israel will simply be destroyed. There will be another Holocaust on the soil of the land of Israel. This is essentially a way to deprive the Jewish people of means to defend themselves. Means to defend themselves. Again, means that they so lacked during the long years of exile and during the Holocaust. They continue that the largest suppliers of weapons to Israel are the United States, Germany, and Italy. Several nations, including France, Spain, and the UK, have either paused supply of some weapons or have suspended export licenses. So they are worried. I mean, undeniably, if that's not a worry, then what is a worry? Gideon Saar is outright saying that it will be a Holocaust and will be the end of the state of Israel. And how can they do that? And also during a conference on anti-Semitism.